me do it again.
All right. Well, I actually pressed the live button, so we're live, but it's okay. Feel free to take your time with that. It's not a big deal. We'll wait for as people come on, but I'm just going to introduce this. Guys, this is Alex Youngblood. I've got Jared Vidales here with me. We're just getting some logistical things set up. So just give us a few seconds. And Jared, if go ahead and post what you guys, what market you're in and all that kind of stuff. And we'll get started here with Jared soon. Did that work?
Yeah, it's doing it right now. Man, I must be in a dead spot here. Anyways, I'll get to it, but yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. Good to see you, man. I'm excited about this because I hear you're doing some really awesome things out in Phoenix with your company, as well as some virtual stuff. Interested to hear how you got started in the business and all that kind of stuff, and where you're at now. So we're gonna have a good time with all that. So first of all, why don't you introduce who you are? This is to the Wholesaling Houses Full-Time group and my page as well. So introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. No, I'm super excited to have you be on the show. I know we spoke over the phone a few times, but I'll keep it short because we could be here all day if I tell my entire life story. I came from an engineering background, right? So
cool.
Very analytical personality. The track was, go to school, get a corporate job, and die by that corporate job. So I'm sure everybody here could relate to.
Wow.
For whatever reason, like deep down inside, I know that there's a greater purpose for me and my vision. So always been interested in stupid little things, but for whatever reason, real estate was one of those things that just made sense. For me, I need to have tangible assets to vision. I can't invest in. For me, I can't visualize technology. I can't envision stocks, bonds, stuff like that. Real estate was a tangible item where you can make money in literally 1,000 different ways. So to keep a long story short, once I graduated from college, I came out here in.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to a school in Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo, so in California. Oh, wow. So that's about an hour north of Santa Barbara on the beach. It was beautiful. Amazing place. Graduated with engineering. Came out to Phoenix for the big corporate job, right? I got recruited. There's 2,500 interviewees. I was one of 15 that they hired at a corporate level to go train in Milwaukee, the headquarters, and come back to the branch and essentially rebreathe the vision and the core values back at a local branch level. Did that for two and a half years. And at the same time, deep down inside, there was this burning desire of I want to do something more. Real estate was still at the top of mind, but being in California, as you could imagine, price point to entry is nearly impossible. When I came out to Phoenix, back in 2012, I remember driving around the neighborhoods and looking at properties, and the properties in Tempe right next to ASU campus were selling for $110,000.
Wow.
And in California, the house that I rented when I went to school was $1.5 million. So there's this huge gap, and it got me thinking to say, this seems a little bit more realistic, right? So at that point in time, I was going to networking groups, meeting with everybody that was interested in talking real estate at all with me, trying to figure out what niche I wanted to do. And like everybody else.
What year was this, by the way?
This was 12. So
wow.
we're still in recovery phase in Phoenix. Prices are slowly starting to tick back up, but there's still a ridiculous amount of opportunity. So,
wow.
I'm trying to figure out what niche, best fit me and my personality. And like everybody else, I wanted to flip houses, right?
Take the house down, fix it up, resell. That's
exactly
what you wanted to do.
Exactly. I wanted to do the construction. I wanted to flip it because that's what, television glamorized. And that's
absolutely.
And in Phoenix, we're the #1 metro in the U.S. for volume of flipping houses. So it's literally everywhere. So it seemed very possible. So I was trying to figure out, I knew I wanted to flip. I was networking with a contractor that I found on Bigger Pockets, and he said, hey, look, you buy the house, you fund it, and then I'll do all the construction and we'll split it 50-50. And in my mind, I'm like, that sounds like a great deal. Let's do it. So he brought me 2 houses from a wholesaler, actually. And I was meeting with them every week just so we could get the warm and fuzzies for each other to see if we were a fit. And we determined, yes, let's do it. So he calls me one day and says, hey, Jared, I got 2 houses out in West Phoenix. Let's go check them out. They seem like really, really good deals. I'm like, great. Hop in my car, drive down to the west side. And this property is boarded up, vacant, copper stripped out, just
man.
And he said it's $85,000. And I'm like, okay. He's like, well, we could get this done. The entire renovation, full gut, roof, AC, the full interior, 25 grand. And we'll sell for 145. I'm like, okay, that seems great. It's like, great. Just go down to your bank and get an earnest money check. I'm like, what's an earnest money check? He's like, okay, well, you write this check to secure your interest, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, great. I'm like, okay, now what? Now we go down to title. I'm like, what's title? I literally had no clue.
Wow.
So
brand new.
I didn't know what title was, purchasing, like literally anything. And then, I take down the house, literally that day. Actually the owner who sold it to me, who was brought through a wholesaler, owner finance. So I closed it that day. And then a couple hours later, he's like, hey, Jared, I got another one right here, right down the street. And I'm like, all right, let's go check it out. So literally bought 2 houses the same day and went through the entire construction process, right? It took 8 months, 8 and 10 months. The working relationship with the contractor turned out to be mediocre at best, but thank God the market was appreciating so fast, you literally could not lose money.
Yeah.
So what got me started was trying to tie this all together. That wholesaler that sold me those 2 deals ripped $15K a pop, right?
Wow.
And me as the investor, I put in like 100 grand each house to rip 25 grand on each house over a period of 8 to 10 months. And
so
I'm like,
these were your first 2 deals, essentially.
First 2 deals,
which
exactly.
Just straight up traditional buy, fix, sell.
Traditional, as basic as it comes.
You know what's awesome about that, right? Is and I was on a Facebook Live with Preston Ely yesterday. Actually, do you know who Preston is?
I don't.
That's amazing to me, right? Because this was like back in 2006 to 2000. Probably 12. He was one of the bigger internet marketers doing deals out in Tampa and all that kind of stuff. And now the new crop has come in, and I would put you in the new crop of people that has come on into the space and is really starting to shake things up, which is awesome. But you took action and you actually went out, you stuck your neck out on the line, you bought these properties, you did the deal, you saw them through. No matter what you made on them, you still stuck it all the way through and did that. And because of that, that's something that's carried over into the business that you're in now. So guys, if you're listening to this and you're trying to get into the business, you really have to just take action. You got to jump into it, whatever form of investing it is, whether you're going to buy and take something down, whether you're going to wholesale, start marketing, whatever it is, you have to jump on it right away and get going because time just goes. A lot of people are just like, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next week. I'll do it, next month, whatever it is. But just time goes and time leaves us in such an exponential way. It's crazy.
Absolutely. And it just seemed like literally like a couple years ago that, I did that, but it was probably 4.5 years ago. It's just so crazy how that time elapses and it's very important. Like you said, just get going. Even if you don't know what the hell you're doing, you'll figure it out. Even if you break even, at least you get the experience.
Right. Absolutely. So that's awesome, man. So you made like 25 grand on each one of those deals and you were working your corporate job at the time?
Yeah. So the funny thing was, I was a project engineer for every contracting job for the state of Arizona for a company called Johnson Controls, a big corporate company, right? And I bought those houses, and then I was fixing them up. I just wanted to be in the shit. I wanted to be in the job site, and I wanted to Get lick, touch.
Everybody loves that.
I wanted to like feel it, right?
Yeah.
And my parents, I love the parents, but they're, it's that traditional college job kind of thing. So one day I called my parents. And I said, hey, look, I think I'm going to quit. I think the breaking point was the project engineer was the most stressful job in a position. And I got like 250 emails overnight on jobs. And I looked at this and I'm like, I could respond or I could just quit. So I just got up and I quit, and I called my parents like, oh my God, what about the benefits, the health benefits, right?
Yeah.
And I look back and health benefits like $200 a month. Like, so I quit my job, and then I actually got headhunted out from a competing company in Phoenix.
Oh, wow.
And got a great job offer. They made a position for me. And in the back of my mind, I was hearing my parents say, hey, Jared, take it. Well, you know what? Screw it. I'll take the job. So I was in this new company doing these flips, doing everything. I was in the office half the time. The other half I'm, at the job sites. And when I was flipping those houses, I actually locked up my first wholesale deal. It was a 95 house package on the west side for like 8.1 million bucks.
Wow. So this is the first wholesale deal.
This is the first wholesale deal. So
it's a big wholesale deal.
Yeah. The funny thing was,
it was a big package.
Big package, 95 single families in Phoenix.
Wow. And what did you get them for?
8.1 million.
And you sold it for?
Well, the funny thing was, it was the contractor that I was working with brought the deal, so we JV'd it together.
Okay.
And I was so new, I had no clue what I was doing. And all the major players in the market knew it and smelt it and just swarmed. We sold all those houses. We wholesaled everything to probably.
Oh, you pieced them out, not just one big package.
Pieced the entire thing out. There was like.
You didn't take the deal down.
No. We double closed every single house out of escrow.
That's awesome.
Oh man, it was a shit show to say the least.
I can't believe what that would potentially look like.
Oh, it was after we closed, there were still audits going on for 6 months because money didn't reconcile. It was a mess. So yeah, all the big guys, they knew holy shit, this guy has a great deal. They swarmed us. We probably left $1.5 million on the table.
Oh.
And you know how much money I made? 40 grand.
No. You made $40,000 off of 8.1. Oh my goodness. Yeah. That's, you know what though? You learn. That's it's funny, right? People talk about, man, I could do this on my own. I'm going to go to YouTube University. I'm going to figure all this out, right? But something like that, exactly right there, what you're talking about, because you really didn't have a mentor, right, to help you with that.
Nothing.
You were just completely just doing this 100%, right? And you probably left $1.5 million.
But thank God, because like I said, you learn how to do it for the next time. And about a year and a half later,
where's that next $8 million house deal with all that? I mean, we're going to get into that, right? Because I'm going to ask you, where are you at right now? So we talked about kind of your first deals and stuff like that, which is really awesome. I'm going to ask you how you got to where you're at right now, but what does business look for you like right now?
So business today. So, first quarter was rough, right? We had obviously the seasonal type of cycle or whatever you want to call it. But right now,
what about last year?
Last year we made about 2.5 million in wholesale.
2.5 million in wholesale. That's correct. Straight wholesale revenue.
Sorry, 2 million in wholesale revenue, and then another 500 on just fix and flip on the side.
So you did some fix and flips on the side.
Did some fix and flip, yeah.
Will you still maintain and wish that you did that extra 500,000 in those fix and flips? Do you think that was worth it?
There's two types of concepts, right? You could wholesale the deal, capture the first half, and then you can monetize the last half if you have the in place.
Yes.
The thing is, our system, our company our operations is so streamlined. Like I didn't really feel the stress of flipping and stuff like that. Like
that's awesome.
You know, I have my partner. She manages a lot of the investment side, the asset side. So our flips, our rentals, our builds, stuff like that. So for me, and I guess we'll get to what the organization looks like now. But I'm responsible on right now. It's just like primarily wholesale. Probably 90% of what we do today is marketing, sales to drive wholesale revenue. The last probably 10% is actually the asset side or the investment side, where we're buying, you know, those easy lipstick flips where we can make an extra 20 on, cherry picking rentals, doing sub twos, seller finance, stuff like that. And just really just wherever it makes sense, right? So yeah, today, like I said, Q1 was a little rough. But this month we're on track to close 350 grand in wholesale revenue, which should be our month.
Wow. So I mean, that's the way this business works. Obviously, you know, have your ebbs and flows and stuff like that. So, mind if I ask you, like, what was your margin, would you say, on the 2.5 million, or, you know, on the wholesale side?
49.8%.
49%.
49.8.
That is awesome. And you got, guys, do you think he knows his numbers? He said 49.8%. That's absolutely amazing. That's absolutely amazing. So, and to do that, right, is difficult because you have so many moving parts, like in a big company like that, that's doing that much wholesale revenue. And there's so many spots to where things can go absolutely wrong and to where you can lose money. But that is a well-oiled machine. Would you say at 49%, that's like the tippity top max margins you could do, or could those be even better?
We, like me and my partner, run pro formas all day to try and look for any operational efficiencies where we could squeeze margin. But man, that was what we did last year. We were so strategic on our marketing strategy that everything coming through the pipeline was extremely convertible, right?
Wow.
So to answer your question, it is possible, but what we're trying to do now is obviously we're trying to scale, and naturally when you scale, you know, it's a huge cash suck. Margins like naturally diminish. So our objective is scale, stabilize. Scale, stabilize.
Very
so we
good.
can maintain those margins, so we're not just spending a crap load of money, you know, taking a 30%, even 20% margin, and just letting that bottom line erode.
Casey Ryan says Jared is part man, part computer. I definitely believe that. I feel like this is amazing. I mean, all these different calculations and stuff like that. So, all right. So you mentioned about being strategic at marketing, and we know everything on this business revolves around marketing and getting the phones to ring, right? And starting to talk to people and all that kind of thing, right? So, like, what would you say, you know, when you dialed that in, was the marketing side of it that was really, really on point for you?
So if anybody really tracks their P&Ls, their profit and loss statements as a percentage of gross revenue, right? So our marketing spend last year was 15% of our gross revenue, meaning
that's right on point.
For every $15,000 we spend in marketing, we should expect $100,000 in gross revenue. But what really got us there, and 15% as actually a functioning organization, I think is strong, because now you're hiring, you know, if it was just me, maybe that could be 7%, 10%. But once you start duplicating yourself, hiring talent, bringing new talent in, training them, everything starts to get out of whack. So the marketing strategy was just like everybody else, right? You know, we have a call center down in Mexico, which is callgeeks.com. We have a call center out in Cairo, Egypt, which is with callgeeks.com as well, which is amazing. Our website, we're super strong on PPC, SEO, highestcashoffer.com. We're top 5 we buy houses webpage on Google in the United States.
And that was a long-term play for sure.
Long-term play, right? And so we're heavy organic. About probably 75% of the leads that come in through our webpage are organic, so they're free.
Wow.
So super strong. And then one of our bread and butter marketing sources, which it's not so bread and butter anymore because everybody's doing it, is text message marketing. We thought we broke the code about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago when we started texting. That was primarily responsible for our cost to revenue on our marketing, because we were freaking hitting home runs with no effort at all. Just to give you an example, probably about a year ago, I pulled, and we were using Jason Nichols' Lead Sherpa about a year and a half ago, and it was freaking amazing, right? I pulled like 2,200 pre-foreclosures, threw them into TLO, got the phone numbers, blasted them. 2,200 repeat records, right? I got 7 deals. 7 deals.
Yeah.
I was looking at this and I'm like, this can't be right. So I went into my other market, Vegas, did the same thing, like 2,100 pre-foreclosures, loaded it up, got 5 to 6 deals. Boom. It was like, holy shit, I got 11, 12 deals. I booked $300,000 in projected revenue in under 30 days, and it cost me $1,500.
Wow. That's nuts. Like the cost per deal on that is like nothing.
Literally nothing.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I mean, it was crazy, but now it's a little bit different in today's environment, right? Because
why is it different?
It's without getting too technical, what I think is going on is everybody's text blasting, so obviously that kind of ruins things. But because everybody's text blasting kind of the same message on a mass scale, these phone carriers are now flagging these messages and preventing them from hitting the consumer's cell phone. So deliverability
is going down.
Deliverability is going down, and it's just not a novelty to these homeowners anymore. We would literally there was probably 10 deals that we would exchange probably 3 messages on a text. They would send us their email, shoot them a DocuSign, and they would sign it in an hour without even speaking to them over the phone.
So now I'm going to ask you. Obviously, we're not. I'm not an attorney. You're not an attorney. This is not any kind of legal advice in any kind of sort or situation, right? From the side of texting people, right? Have you had any issues where people have complained about that or said anything?
Yeah, we've had. I mean, thank God we've never been in a lawsuit or anything like that. But I know people who are in class actions, other litigation, stuff like that. So it's risky. But so is so is telemarketing. At the end of the day, we
call it telemarketing, or else you're done.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like wholesalers, we are professional spammers. We're professional spammers. Aside from like website and direct mail and knocking doors, organic. I mean, we're like RVMs, texting, calling. It's spam.
So are you doing the RVM side of it too, as well?
I've never had success. It was hard for me to systemize and scale RVM without creating a shit show on our sales floor.
Just because there's so much that comes in from it, right?
Yeah, even putting in an IVR to filter, it was just challenging for me.
Yeah. And then the same thing with like voice broadcasting too.
Same thing. I don't really do too much of that. I feel like those strategies are more on the radar. But yeah, just text, PPC, and then a ton of telemarketing.
So straight up cold call outbound.
Straight up, smiling and dialing. We have 25 agents on our campaigns that are just boom, 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 driving leads to our sales team. Yeah, just traditional cold calling.
Wow. So let me think of this. So all right. So obviously, you know your numbers really, really well. And you've got certain goals for your business and stuff, right? So let's say somebody's like, they want to set a goal to do 1.2 million a year, right? So they're trying to do 100,000 a month, right?
Right.
So how would you, if you were just starting out, how would you break that? And 100,000 a month to some people might be like, whoa, I can't even conceptualize that, right? But how would you break that up and say, okay, you're going to do 100,000 a month consistently. Here is what you should do.
Okay, so I guess I need to understand the level of sophistication with the guy I'm talking about, because
Very good.
I have all these tools and whatever. But to keep it simple, right?
Yes.
You essentially have to close. You have to first understand a few things. You need to understand. Well, I guess if they're brand new, they're not going to understand what their average contract weight is, their spread.
Yeah.
What the close ratio is. Because every contract you sign up, not all of them are going to close, right?
No. What is that for you, by the way? Is that 49? Is that 75%? What is that?
It's 70%.
70%. So for those of you who are listening, don't know what we're talking about, we're saying 70% of contracts actually turn into revenue or close that he signs, that are signed up.
Exactly. So once you know your average spread and your average close, contract to close, money in the bank, you can now calculate a theoretical contract weight, right? So if your average spread is $10,000, but you're only closing 70% of your contracts coming in, on average, every signed contract has a contract weight or value of $7,000. So if you want to hit $100,000 on a monthly basis, you need to divide that $7,000 into the 100 grand. The 100 grand, I don't know what that math is.
You are a math whiz, man. Isn't it like 22.5 or something?
So yeah, something ridiculous. So you have to close, you have to sign up 22 contracts, right? Now, you have to sign up 22 contracts in a month. The next metric you have to look at is your average contract close.
I'm sorry, 14.2, my bad.
14, okay. Thank God. I'm like, this poor guy has quite the challenge in front of him. So 14 contracts. So you need to sign 14 up. The next metric you need to look at is how long does it take you on average to close out a deal? For us, it's 3 weeks, right? So that means I have to sign up 14 contracts in 1 week to plan to have those close out and hit and money in the bank before the month ends. So now
that's a huge undertaking, right? Another thing have you ever played with Gantt charts?
Yes.
So similar thing, right? Like what a Gantt chart is, it'll say how many you need to have in order to, to hit your goal. And then it shows you how many houses you'll have to be managing at that time in order to hit that goal. So for instance, you're saying you've got to have 14 contracts in order to hit that revenue number.
14 contracts on your statistical averages, right? Everybody's averages are going to be different. If I'm telling this young guy, hey, you got to go get 14 contracts, and he says, well, that's impossible. Okay, you have a couple different options. Increase your contract average, your spread. Don't shoot for 10s, shoot for 20s or 25s. Really make sure you're doing some preliminary research on title and asking all the tough questions to the seller, so you know what you have ahead of you. So you could understand, is this revenue I could pipeline and have planned to close? A lot of people, when they're first starting, they don't like asking the hard questions because all they care about is a signature on the contract. But then when you open title, there's a lien, there's a third person, there's all these different things, and you've already spent the money, right? You've already pipelined it to close. So then it just leads to unrealistic expectations, and it just leads to just discouragement.
Yeah. Right. So maybe going right out the gate, $100,000 a month may be a difficult thing for somebody to go for. Should they maybe half that and go for like 7 contracts?
I mean, it just depends. It just depends on what that person's goal is. Like literally anything is possible. What I'd personally do is I would get as much experience as I can as a wholesaler. And once I've learned the process inside and out, right? Title, seller psychology, how to negotiate, all that stuff, I would, as soon as possible, get one more guy to help you, duplicate what's in here, put it in his brain, so you could leverage other people's time, start leveraging systems, because $100,000, it's entirely doable as a one-person show, but you're going to be running around with your head cut off and you're going to be stressed out 24/7. So
you're absolutely right about that. So then let's talk about kind of scaling from there, right? So right now, what does your team look like?
So right now, first quarter, we went into January with 7 acquisition guys. We made some great guys, but they just weren't the right fit for the job. They came from different sales backgrounds. So unfortunately, we let 4 of those guys go, and now we have three acquisition guys at the office.
So you only have 3 acquisitions people in the office.
Correct.
Okay.
3 acquisitions, 1 sales manager. I have a transactions coordinator, a bookkeeper, a controller, a fractional CFO.
What's a controller?
The controller is essentially, she manages the bookkeeper. The bookkeeper is inputting all of, this isn't my side. I'm not, inputting all the receipts, making sure everything like jives, and the controller's breaking it down and making sure we could read it in a way that makes sense for me and my partner. And then our CFO, it's more of a strategic type of session on how we could save in taxes. Maybe we're structuring deals in different ways to be more profitable as a company. And then also, cash flow projections, making sure, because this business, it's a lot of money in, money out. It's a lot of cash flow balance, as you can imagine. So it's managing cash flow, because we have a crap load of rentals and projects on the side too. And also planning for the future and forecasting for the future.
So what would you say? I can't just let you off the hook on that one when you just said different ways of structuring deals to save on taxes. I mean, we're talking about wholesale deals. So what would be an example of that?
I mean, on the wholesale side,
it's a contract assignment. You can only slice that one way. So what are you talking about when you're talking?
Well, I guess
I want to save money on my taxes too, man.
It's more on the asset side, right? So wholesale income is just ordinary income. It's going to be the highest taxed, whatever that's possible. But on the asset side,
double close, like from a buy to a sell on a double close, is it treated the same way? Would you say?
To be honest, that's not my wheelhouse.
It's an interesting thought, right? I just had it, is if you may lose money on closing costs when you do a double close as opposed to an assignment, but how is it taxed? Is it taxed differently?
Because technically you take title for a period of time.
Right. So does that change that kind of income?
That's a good question.
You need to ask somebody about that. Get back to me on that one.
I know people will send will do assignments in their IRA.
Yes.
Which seems pretty cool. But I haven't tried.
I think you can only do a few of those before they start saying, what's going on here? You're doing business out of your IRA,
Yeah, exactly.
One deal for each kid each year or something like that,
Yeah.
in their IRAs. But so that's cool. So from the sales guys side, so what are they doing? Are they just dealing with inbound leads from the cold callers essentially?
Yeah. So our acquisition team, they're in the office. They get brand new leads every single day from our lead channels, right? What their job is, they're jumping on the phone out with every new lead, qualifying them, making sure they are our target demographic, motivation, timeline, all the basic stuff, right? And at that time, they're determining, is this person either qualified or not qualified? If they're qualified, they're sending the property to our analyst. She's underwriting everything and then sending them back to acquisitions to make that offer. So we have acquisition team, and then we have our analyst. The reason why we decided to break up the underwriting into 2 separate functions, sales and underwriting, is so sales, they could focus on the touches. They could focus on making sure they're having quality conversations and are not focusing on the numbers. Because when you're talking with a seller, it takes a very skilled person to hold an in-depth conversation where you're asking really, really tough questions while you're underwriting a property.
Right. For sure.
And when you're doing numbers and stuff like that, when you're talking with the seller, you tend to only talk numbers. So it kills the sale, and you're not getting to the real issue and trying to solve a problem. You're just being a numbers guy.
So going back to your profit margin, because you have all these people in place, you're telling me at 49% with all these salaries in place and everything?
Well, acquisitions is they're commission only.
Okay.
So they're commission only, 10%. And then, and then obviously we have, like I said, the bookkeeper, controller, CFO, our transaction coordinator. We have a dispositions guy, and then our analyst. So the acquisitions and dispositions, they're on commission only. So that we pay out when we get paid.
Right.
But yeah, our overhead's probably 20, 25 grand a month.
Even with all those people.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's not outrageous compared to other, organizations, but our marketing spend is, 25 to 35 grand a month.
But that's again consisted of your online SEO and your are you doing any direct mail? No direct mail whatsoever.
No direct mail.
Okay. All right. So it's a lot of the cold calling that adds up on that. And that's either from your floor that you're running, or you have the acquisitions guys that you throw them on on a Mojo or something like that, right?
No. So our acquisition guys, they're only focused on paid leads and paid leads only. So they're getting all the incoming leads, and then they're also managing a massive pipeline of sellers that they're just going follow up, right? When they start out, when they're brand new, we put them on a Mojo dialer and just stress test the hell out of them. Our goal is to make sure that they fail often, fail hard, because we want them to experience what this game is like, because wholesaling is not easy. It is hard.
No. Simple, but not easy.
Simple, but not easy. It takes a certain type of person and certain type of mind to actually be successful in wholesale. So we put them on a headset, we put in a high equity list, very unmotivated, and we just have them.
You put them on an unmotivated list.
Unmotivated list.
That's like the gauntlet, right? Like,
oh man,
everybody's beating them down.
Yeah, because they're rolling through the script and they're understanding all the objections anybody could ever ask, right? They're practicing on pitching an offer. They're practicing on price anchoring. They're doing all this stuff and who cares if they mess up, right? Because it's unmotivated people.
Yeah.
But once we've beat them down and they could go through the process in their sleep, we'll pluck them and put them on the sales floor.
Let me ask you this on an acquisition side. So you were talking about the qualified versus the non-qualified, right? Mm-hmm. So non-qualified seller on unqualified seller. So what would a qualified seller look like versus a non-qualified seller?
Good question, because so qualified, easy, right? There has to be an underlying reason on why they want to sell.
There's got to be, the why has to be there.
The why has to be there. It's just like we do anything. Why do we get up to drink a glass of water? Because we're thirsty, right? If we weren't, we wouldn't go get a glass. Same concept with real estate. There has to be a reason, because I can't tell you, we probably have 150 leads in our pipeline where the sellers are asking 30, 50 grand below what below what our offer is.
Yeah.
Right? But they're just not motivated. There's no reason for them to sell. I mean, there's probably $1 million sitting there in our pipeline.
Wait a second. You just said that you got people that are asking below what you would offer, not above, below what you would offer.
Exactly.
But there's no motivation. There's no urgency.
Exactly.
That's got to be frustrating.
Super frustrating, right? So
that's fine. I mean, that's like a huge database of money you're just cultivating. You're like out there with the rake, cultivating. So they come to you.
So to answer your question, they have to be motivated, because even if somebody wants 50K for their house and it's worth 200, there has to be a reason why they want to sell.
Wow. That's huge, guys. You guys, I mean, for you guys listening, I mean, I don't think I've ever heard that before. Like somebody said somebody is ready to sell for like 50,000 or less than what you need to buy it for, it would be a huge wholesale fee, but there's no timeline there. And I've talked about that before in the terms of you have to understand the when. What is their timeline, right? The when sometimes then uncovers the why, right? Which is really, really key. So if you guys appreciate that, give Jared a big thumbs up, hearts, likes, all that good stuff. That was good info, man. That was good. Absolutely. So there has to be an underlying motivation. Now, what if they're asking you for a full retail price or close to it, and they have underlying motivation as well?
Pretty simple. So that's when the cash side obviously doesn't make sense, and then the creative side kicks in, right? So if there is extreme motivation and they're asking retail, there's a ton of stuff. The obvious solution is go list it retail with an agent, right? And maybe do a 50-50 split. Which
Tyler said thumbs up to you, brotato chip. That's the first one. I haven't heard that one either.
Oh, Tyler could say bro in 100 different ways.
Bro Chacho, bro Montana. You got to give me one. You got to give me a bro.
Bro Chacho.
Bro Chacho. Yeah.
So you can list the property. You could buy the property subject to their existing financing. You could buy the property with creative terms, right? You could go hard on the terms, regardless what price is.
You're talking like principal only payments kind of deal.
Yeah, you could do principal only payments. You could, maybe it's free and clear. They want retail. Cool. We'll do, principal only, $500 below what it could rent for, and then maybe you go lease option it out, or maybe you reseller finance it out.
So you're doing a lot of those creative deals, huh?
It's challenging to do. We've done a few, but
yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like your normal everyday type thing. If you have a seller that's asking full retail, but they have underlying motivation, are they being sent over, or is your qualifier saying, yes, this is a qualified person, or they're saying, no, this is not qualified?
It's 50-50 on what because when you start looking at the creative side, sub 2, seller carry, stuff like that, you got to start digging into the financials. And if the financials don't make sense, maybe they have a 6.5 adjustable, interest rate loan. It'll just never work, even if you lease option it back out. But on those ones, we'll kill off. But if it's free and clear, or if they have like a VA loan, or we've seen 40-year fixed mortgages, which really, really gets that monthly nut down and wreak your cash flow, we'll keep those in our pipeline. An example is, we have a house in Vegas. It's a 2008 build. It's worth $240, and the guy owes $240, right? Extremely motivated, going through divorce, foreclosure, not foreclosure, but he's about to stop making payments, but he literally can't do anything. He can't retail it. He can't go to Open Door or OfferPad. He can't sell it to us. So, but he has a 40-year fixed at like 3.5% interest, where the PITI is $1,000 and it rents for $1,800, and it's a 2008 build in Vegas. So in those situations, he's motivated. He has literally zero equity. But the terms on the underlying mortgage is ridiculous. So we'll pay $10,000, even $20,000 over retail to buy that mortgage.
Wait. You said buy the mortgage.
Not buy the buy the property.
We were going to go a whole different route. I mean, I've heard of people buying mortgages on foreclosures and totally like getting rid of everybody else. But yeah, that was okay. That's interesting. All right. So we talked about some marketing. We talked about the acquisitions guys. Are the acquisitions guys actually sending these contracts out over the phone, or are they actually going belly to belly?
Good question. So our business model is all over the phone, DocuSign, that's it. Probably 5 to 10% will actually go out to the house and on sellers that need a little bit of finesse. Or if the deal's already a deal, and we know if we go out to the property, we could probably get an extra 20 off. So it just depends on the situation, but 90% of the time it's DocuSign. cell phone. But I will tell you that our highest profit deals are in person.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that makes sense, right? Because when somebody's in front of you, you really build that trust factor up. You're there. I don't know. It would seem like there's just a little bit more.
Because
I don't.
a little
Go
bit
ahead.
more. Because the thing is, it's always hard to go deep on the phone because the
Yes.
seller can always click. When you're in person,
Very easy.
they can't hang up.
Yeah.
So who cares if you hit them, below the belt? They're not. I mean, they'll probably rush you out the house, but you could kind of
You can use it, right?
you could reposition it and like say, hey, you know what? Let's work on it.
I was just kidding, man. I was just kidding.
JK, bro. So yeah, our best deals are always in person, and even in our virtual markets, we have a sophisticated boots on the ground who knows the contract, who's not scared to go, hit below the belt. So
And who are these boots on the ground? Are they realtors usually?
friends, realtors, anybody who, and anybody who like wants, who sees us, who sees what we're doing, wants to be part of the team, and maybe they're in the Vegas market and we can't hire them, but we could say, hey, look, what we could do is we have a strategic partnership. If we need you to go close a deal, we'll give you X percentage, and it'll help us both out, and you get experience at the same time.
All right, so it's 1:52 now. Moving to dispositions, right? Mm-hmm. So now we've got the contract. Now we move to dispositions. Are you doing big group showings where everybody's tripping all over each other, or what does that look like?
We try to avoid that at all costs.
Interesting. And why is that?
Just because we're trying to build the most easy flowing system, like DocuSign, over the phone. We may get less spread on the deal, but we're able to do more deals. On a dispo side, in Phoenix and Vegas, the market is so competitive, and we're built on a desert. There's hardly any foundation issues. It's a time capsule. So there's never any big ticket items in a property that you really need to go look at. So in our Phoenix and Vegas markets, we could sell a property in under 10 minutes with an address, a Dropbox link, and a price. And it's pretty much done deal. They never need to go look at them.
Wow. And you are doing this. What does this look like? Is this a blast out in an email fashion, in a text fashion? Like how are people finding out about your deals?
So this is a text fashion.
Okay.
So we just send out a mass text broadcast. Our buyers know it's us. You got to be careful because some buyers find it annoying. But the positive is it has like a 99% deliverability rate. So everybody gets it. Everybody gets it and puts their eyes on it. With email marketing, there's so many spam filters these days that if you don't know what you're doing with email, you're never going to hit an inbox.
Yeah.
So we always get, when we used to do emails, hey bro, I want this deal. What happened? I never got it in my email. What happened? And it's always in spam. So
wow.
So
that's a huge one right there, guys, listening with the email like that. So, I mean, if you get permission from your buyers or whatever for texting and stuff like that, I mean, that's going to be the best deliverability when it comes to deals.
Because we transferred our entire database from our email over to our text platform, and that simple change, we were selling our deals on average $10,000 higher because we had more eyes on the property, and the people who weren't getting the emails were finally getting our product.
So what does that look like? So let's say I respond to your text that goes out, right? And I'm like, yeah, man, I want this deal. Give it to me. And I'll give you your asking price. Can we do the deal like right now? What do you tell me?
We don't do the highest and best thing. It works in some markets, but in Phoenix, it's a little bit hard in Phoenix and Vegas. What we say is, hey, look, because we'll price everything $5,000 to $8,000 higher than what we think we could sell it for.
Okay.
We know
you're competent. They got to not listen to that one.
Yeah. Sorry, Casey Ryan. Hey, bro, Casey's the best buyer in Vegas. He pays the most amount of money. Sell your Vegas deals to him. No, I think it's important because sorry, what was I saying?
You were talking about pricing your deals. Well, when you talked about pricing it up, You don't do the highest and best thing.
No, first one with EMD and title gets the deal.
That's it. EMD, your asking price.
Asking price, earnest money. First one with earnest money and title gets the deal because
most of these are sight unseen.
Sight unseen, correct.
Wow.
But we're still, I mean, the thing is, if you have great relationships with your buyers, and you're open and honest and upfront with the condition, it's going to prevent those tedious walkthroughs that take a lot of time. But I mean, with this method, we're still selling our homes at 85% of ARV less the repairs in our markets. Even
85%.
85%.
Holy smokes.
And that's just to a fix and flip investor. When you start going to, looking at Open Door and OfferPad, and you can figure out how to sell to them, I mean, you could push 90% easy.
Have you figured out how to do that?
Yes. Well, in a roundabout way.
Okay. All right, maybe we'll talk about that one later. But I mean, because OfferPad and Open Door, they all want like newer homes, right? Essentially.
1960 and newer, but if you ever export everything that they're holding, they prefer 1990s and newer, although they will buy older.
Wow. Very good.
But one thing that I want to share with you,
yes,
we've been seeing online, especially with SEO and PPC, Zillow has been kicking our asses on everything web-based. Now that Zillow's buying houses,
they're a beast, and it's easy for them to do that, right?
Open Door and OfferPad, whatever, we could compete with them, but Zillow, that's a whole nother spectrum. They literally have every homeowner's eyes on their page, and every homeowner spot checks Zillow. Oh, and by the way, Zillow buys homes. Let's get a quote. So everybody who's landing, we used to convert 1 in 10 PPC leads. Now it's like 1 in 35.
No way. All because of that.
Literally night and day shift within the last 3 months.
Wow. So how are you going to adapt to that, Mr. Jared Vidales?
Oh man, that's a good question. I'm still trying to figure it out.
So they have officially disrupted the market in that aspect for you.
So in my opinion, give it like a year and a half, and a lot of these mom and pop guys, I think it's really going to weed people out.
Really? They're just not going to be able to handle it.
Between that and TCPA laws really cracking down and working with carriers, it's going to be, I mean, not to scare the audience, there's still a crap load of deals out there. It's just going to be a little bit more challenging, I think.
So what do you mean by the TCPA cracking down with carriers? You mean they're just going to be able to say, oh, that's where that came from, that kind of thing?
Exactly. So if it's not coming from like a genuine like cell phone where where it actually is a registered user and it's not a purchased VoIP number and stuff like that, these carriers are not even going to send anything through to the consumer. And TCPA is working on a sort of a governor in a way to like figure out the technology to block all these robocalls, block all the text, all these texts, all these cold calls. So our cost per lead is going to go way up because we're just not touching consumers.
Wow. So you're that's something you're absolutely thinking about for the future, which is pretty amazing. I mean, and you have to. I mean, with the operation that you've got going on right now. So really awesome. I really appreciate you being here and giving us all this information, all this knowledge. We have had a lot of people that have been chiming in and stuff like that. It's 1:59. I mean, I guess we can stay for a few minutes and answer some questions. But do you guys have any questions for Jared? Unless you have to go.
I'm good.
You're good. Your business is doing its thing. You're standing there in your pretty kitchen smiling and looking all young and everything. So
thank God. Wholesale, man. Yeah.
What did you say?
I said, thank God. The wholesale, there's something new every single day. It's amazing.
So somebody said Jared's secret is a special face cream he uses. It's called La Mer.
Oh, is that Ace?
That was Ace, yeah.
Oh, shit. Thank you.
Dee asks, how do we find you on social media?
So my social media is Jared_Vidales. Follow me on Instagram. I try to put out new content every single day. Message me, whatever. I'll be present on social media. I don't know if you could see that.
There
Jared
it is.
underscore Vidales.
That's cool. D says, how much EMD?
We used to do 1,000 up until January of this year, and now we dropped it out to 500. Because when you have 30, 35 contracts out, you have
That's a lot of money.
35 grand worth of earnest money out.
All right. You guys have any other questions for Jared? Matt is asking what's doing best now. I think he was talking in terms of marketing.
Right now, telemarketing is still kicking butt.
Do you still call it telemarketing, or do you cold calling?
Or cold calling, sorry.
Well, I'm just curious.
Cold calling is the best for us right now. It used to be, the order used to go SMS, PPC, and then cold calling.
Oh, wow.
Now right now the order is telemarketing, PPC, SMS.
Wow. So with the cold calling, then how many leads are you seeing, or how many calls are you having to make in order to secure a contract? I'm sure you know that number.
I don't know how many calls per se, but
how many yeses, I guess.
Okay. So for cold calling, 1 in 67 leads will convert on cold calling.
That's a really easy number to scale at that point.
Absolutely.
Unless you run out of numbers to call. Now,
and that's our problem right now. We literally don't have any more data left in our markets to call.
Wow.
Literally.
So how many times will you attempt the same list?
So in Maricopa County or the Phoenix market, there are, I don't know, probably 2 million households.
That's amazing.
So we have all 2 million households in our dialers, in our text marketing, everything. So by the time we make one pass through, it's about 3 months. So we'll just pass through again. And same goes Clark County, same thing. We have every single homeowner in Clark County with equity, and we just keep going through.
And you just go through it one time during that time. You're not trying to ring one day and then ring the next and then ring the next until you get them, kind of thing. Or how's that set up?
So it's embedded in the dialer technology. So
which is what, by the way?
We use ZenCall.
ZenCall, okay.
So ZenCall, it's what we use down in our call centers at Call Geeks. It's because we use X5, right, Whitel, and then we went over to ZenCall, and ZenCall has these ridiculous algorithms on how they like process leads. So we were actually.
It's not a predictive dialer, is it?
It's a predictive dialer, yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's a predictive dialer. So we're calling like probably, I mean, for my own campaign, probably 30,000, 40,000 attempts a day. And if anybody says, I'm not interested or I'm not interested, those leads pull out of the lead pool and we just keep recycling through. Like if they're busy or if we hit a voicemail, those will get recycled back in to continue to try to make human contact to get a yes or a no.
Okay. Gotcha. Because I mean, the last thing you want to do is show like 15 missed calls on somebody's phone in the last month, right? You don't want to do that.
And the funny thing is like our call center down in Mexico and Egypt, it has my voice as like the voicemail drop if they don't answer. So I'll get people all over Instagram that says, "Hey,
so you're doing voicemail drops after you call and don't reach somebody." Yeah,
if they don't answer, a voicemail will drop.
Okay.
And I'll get DMs from people all over the United States to say, "Hey, bro, is this you?" And I'm like, because we have like probably 200, 300 agents in our call centers, and we're calling up for clients all across the United States, and all the voicemail drops. I should probably change that.
You probably should. Now, would that be defined as, that wouldn't be a ringless voicemail, but it's a pre-recorded message, right?
Pre-recorded message.
Okay. All right, let's see. Other question. How much do you pay for a disposition manager?
So we commission only, and we'll do 5% of the gross revenue. So, but we're going to probably adjust that down to 2.5 to 3%, just because if you think about it, it's kind of hard to explain. But once you start doing a ton of revenue, and it's so for the dispositions, it's It's not exactly hard. It's just relation. You're just picking up the phone.
I mean, it's provided, the inventory is provided for you. You just need to do something.
Exactly. Pick up the phone and sell it. So right now it's 5 commission only, but in the future, probably kick it down to 3%.
Okay. Now, when you're figuring again your profit margins, does that include the commission paid to those people too?
Correct.
Wow. Again, wow. That's amazing. All right. Edward says, what do you do with the not interested leads? Do you follow up 6 months later, years late, or years, 6 months later, a year later?
So on the not interested, they'll go, we'll assign a 3-month check-in.
Okay.
So we don't kill anything off unless they ask to be placed on a do not call list, or if they sold the property, and sometimes if they pass, and then we try to find the errors.
Okay.
But we try to keep everything flowing, because at the end of the day, we almost have every single homeowner who wants to sell in our markets in our podio.
Wow.
So if we kill somebody off, then they're removed forever, and our dialer won't call them again. So we'll keep them in the pipeline.
Right. Makes sense. Let's see. What about ringless voicemail? Somebody asked.
I just couldn't figure out a way to systemize it.
Just because, again, the volume and the flow, right?
The volume of the flow. Like,
you get so many calls that come in of looky-loos, right?
Look, a lot. And the last thing I want to do is stress out my acquisition team where, somebody calls through, and even though they press 1 to go through an IVR for a pre-screen, sometimes people just do that just to scream at somebody on the phone. And
absolutely,
I don't want to jeopardize the productivity of my acquisition guys with people who are just screaming at them on the phone, because that's just going to throw off their whole day.
Interesting. What lead source do you use? Like Property Radar, List Source? Matt asks.
I used to, a majority of the time, I go through Atom Data, ATTOM, like a atom bomb. Because I get 1 cent records, so it makes my data really, really cheap.
Yeah.
If I can't find what I'm looking for there, I'll go to List Source for 3 cents. It's more expensive, but whatever. But the first thing I always do is I've built scrapers to scrape the counties, to scrape the whole entire tax.
Why not, right? I mean, yeah. You could either build a scraper to do that, or you can buy like a data CD or something.
Exactly.
And that'll have everything. I mean, I've thought about like trying to really hone in on my county. And so like if I get my county database, right? And then I get my the tax delinquent database, all again from the county, and then code violation database, all from the county, and then just match up the county's records against each other. I mean, you're really building a very motivated list at that point.
Exactly, and it's free.
You don't even worry about that type of stuff. You're just like, you have a name, a house, and some equity. I'm calling you.
We do the only type of niche stuff we really play around with is we'll pull NODs and NOSs every week, and we'll text them.
NOD, for people listening, is notice of default, and NOS is notice of sale, depending on your counties. All right, cool. All right, guys. Well, if you guys have enjoyed this with Jared, go ahead and share this post. This has been awesome. Great information. Somebody really in the trenches, really doing this business. I mean, this could be advanced to some people where they're trying to figure out, how to just find their first deal or how to just get going. But when you get to Jared's level, I mean, this is big stuff right here. So, I mean, if you guys are just trying to find your first deal, I've got an accelerator program you guys can check out. I'll post a link for it. If you're trying to follow Jared, you could follow him on his Instagram and see what he's doing with everything there. But I mean, Jared's a real deal. He's doing a lot of business. It's absolutely amazing. If you want to follow him, you can do that. And also, do you have any final last words?
Yeah, one last thing is we are looking for sales talent, right? Like I mentioned, we only have 3 acquisition guys, and we have way more leads than they could handle. We're looking for acquisition guys who are willing to, I mean, just with that hustle mentality, come in, take our leads, convert, and just enjoy the culture. We have a very awesome culture. We have a blast. Our office is, unfortunately, you can't see it, but it's open glass, very collaborative. We have a lot of fun. If anybody's interested in learning more, just Facebook, Instagram, reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you.
This is virtual or local?
You have to be local to
Okay.
Phoenix. So if anybody wants to move, it's a beautiful, Scottsdale's beautiful. You'll guarantee you'll have a way better time here.
All right. Well, guys, I'm going to cut it off here. Jared, don't leave just yet. I'm going to cut it off, but I'll talk to you in a little bit.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. Thanks. We'll see you later.
Cool.
Yeah, it's in the process of shutting down. Let's see. Here we go.